found that the Blackhawks had violated their own sexual harassment policy by waiting 3 weeks before taking action. And the action was Aldrich's forced resignation. That was a sharp turn from the team's commitment to investigating such issues as promptly and thoroughly. Now, in quotes, the failure to promptly and thoroughly investigate this matter and the decision to take no action from May 23rd to June 14th had consequences, the report read. During the period, Aldrich continued to work with and travel with the team. We're getting very recent here, October 26th. That's what, 4 days ago? The Blackhawks announced that Bowman and McIsaac, the lone members of the 2010 senior meeting that remained with the team, stepped down from their respective roles. The report is both disturbing and difficult to read, said Blackhawks CEO Danny Wirtz, who added the team's senior executives didn't take adequate actions back in 2010. It speaks for itself. Blackhawks owner Rocky Wirtz and our leadership team reviewed the report, and we have important and difficult conversations, have had difficult and important conversations on how our organization will move forward. Now, the U.S. Hockey also announced that Bowman will step down as the team's general manager for the 2022 Winter Olympics, October 27th, 2021, 2 days ago. Beach comes forward as the John Doe in the Blackhawks assault case. The 31-year-old, who is currently playing in Germany, told TSN, "It was a day of many emotions. I cried, I smiled, I laughed, I cried some more. My girlfriend and I, we didn't really know how to feel, and we didn't know how to think." October 28th, yesterday. 2 days ago. Quenneville resigns. Joel Quenneville resigns after meeting with the NHL Commissioner Jerry Bettman in New York to discuss his involvement with the Blackhawks sexual assault case. Now, should Quenneville wish to re-enter the league in some capacity in the future, I will require a meeting with him in advance in order to determine the appropriate conditions under which his new employment might take place. Now, Beach also took to social media to thank fans for their endless love and support, but admitted, "My battle is really just beginning as the Blackhawks continue to attempt to destroy my case in court." He hopes to promote safety as well as the health and well-being of society as a whole through the lawsuit. Now, on November 1st, which is 2 days from now, 2 days, 3 days, 2 days, 2 days from now, Cheveldayoff will meet with Gary Bettman. Cheveldayoff of the Winnipeg Jets, his general manager, is slated to meet with Bettman on Monday. The NFL has yet to announce any punishment for Cheveldayoff. Now, this whole thing is, again, a he said, she said, but with a twist, because it involves two men. And it's especially difficult because it's on a sports team, okay? And it's a homosexual event on a sports team in a, air quotes, manly sport where men walk around naked in front of other men all the time. And homosexuality is not looked upon as liberally as in other professions. Let's just say that, okay? Now, is Brad Aldrich a sexual predator? Obviously. Now, video executive forces himself on an athlete. I mean, think about that. This was the guy who was, and if you look at these guys, I mean, this Aldrich is not a big strapping man. Beach is, okay? So this little mousy guy is going to force himself upon a hockey player? Are you kidding me? It's a hockey player. Here's my first question. Why didn't Kyle Busch, if he didn't want anything to do with this, why didn't he just punch Ulrich in the face? I mean, that's what hockey players kind of do, don't they? Maybe that's just a stereotype, maybe an unfair stereotype. But why didn't he just do that? Because something you got to remember, okay, this was 2010. This was 11 years ago. You don't hear about homosexuality in hockey at all today, especially 11 years ago. Now, let's just say that Beach kind of liked this. And I'm not saying he did, but let's just say he did. if it ever came out that he kind of liked it, he'd be done. So what did he have to do? Said he didn't like it and play the victim. Now, is that what happened? I don't know. Is that a possibility? It absolutely is, in my opinion. Do I blame Joel Quenneville for what he did? Consider this. You're in the middle of a Stanley Cup run. That doesn't happen very often with teams, okay? And somebody says, hey, here's a gay Triece, a he said, she said thing. Let's go ahead and address it. And Quenneville says, after we are done playing the games. I understand. I understand why he did it. I'm not saying he was right even, but I certainly understand why he did it. And I'd mentioned before that you will not hear this in traditional media sources. And here's a perfect example. I listen quite often, most every day, to at least part of I think it's called the Fast Lane on 101.1, the ESPN sports station. And one of the guys on there is Jamie Rivers, who's a former hockey player, former Blues hockey player. In fact, he played with a lot of NHL teams. He also played internationally. Good hockey player, journeyman hockey player for a long time. Tough guy, and good on the radio too, by the way. Jamie Rivers is just, this is terrible. This is abuse. There's no room for this, blah, 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 blah. But that's all he can say. And maybe that's exactly what he feels, okay? Maybe it's not. But I'll bet you a nickel Jamie Rivers is thinking, what the hell? Why didn't this guy just punch that coach in the face? His players would have applauded him. The coach would have been booted, and that would have been the end of it. But that's not what happened. And Jamie Rivers can't say anything but, well, this is unacceptable, and he needs to be fired, blah, 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 blah. And by the way, my problem isn't with Bush suing the Blackhawks, because I think he needs, if it really was sexual abuse, I think he should sue the Blackhawks. I mean, it's the poor me victim thing that I have a problem with, okay? The truth or something will come out in court. It always does. At least 80% of the truth will come out in court. So that was a bizarre story this week to me. Number 3, and this has to do with sex workers. And I got this is like lots of different sources I read on this to make sure I got it right, because this is probably the most controversial of all. I got from the UK Sun, the US Sun, and others, Florida newspapers especially, because this is a story about a Florida mom who's suing a school district for $1 million for being barred as a volunteer because of her racy photos on a site called OnlyFans. Now, what's OnlyFans? It's basically you pay money and get to look at nasty pictures of me. That's basically what it is. It's a sex worker site. Let's be honest, okay? Now, Victoria Snooks is the name she uses online. Triece is a 30-year-old mother of 2 at Sand Lake Elementary School. And she was told earlier this month that she could no longer take part in Orange County Public Schools Ad Volunteer Program after an anonymous letter from a concerned parent outed her as a sex worker. That's according to her attorney. And the attorney said this just yesterday. Now, she was stripped of the chances to participate in her children's lives with no legal or constitutional justification. That's according to Triece's attorney, Mark DeJam. Now, what happened is somebody who took the posture of being a moral guardian wrote a letter to the school, and without notice, she was unceremoniously dumped from being a volunteer. Again, from her attorney. Now, Triece had been volunteering at the district for 5 years and passed a background check to do so. She can no longer volunteer at the school, but she is allowed to chaperone field trips with her 5 and 10-year-old sons, again, according to the attorney. Now, the school, I guess, is scrambling to clean up their mess, the attorney said, adding that the Orange County public school official told Triece prior to a press conference Thursday that she could be involved at the school in that capacity only. Now, Triece told reporters that she had been on OnlyFans again, the pay-per-view sex site, for more than 2 years and never took steps to hide it. She also has a Twitter account and Instagram pages with up to 123,000 followers. All the profiles feature a heavily tattooed young blonde in sultry poses. Go to her Twitter account, which is kind of closed unless you join, or her Instagram account, which you can see, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Triece is how you spell the young lady's last name. Victoria Triece. I think it's Triece. Anyway, nobody has the right to judge what other people do for a living, Triece said at the press conference. I feel judged and isolated. Now, Triece said she feels humiliated that someone felt the need to expose her online presence. No one else should be concerned about what another parent does, Triece said. I just love spending time with my kids and have a great relationship with other parents and students. Now, a school district spokeswoman declined to comment on Triece's dismissal when reached by the Post on yesterday, citing potential, pending, and ongoing litigation. Now, Victoria Triece is banned from volunteering at her children's elementary school, and she did talk to the media at a press conference. That's what we just talked about. But none of the guidelines for the volunteer program explicitly state what volunteers can and cannot do while not on campus. That's according to the Orlando Sentinel. Now, Ms. Triece says 1 minute of my day job is not my whole life, and it's not my life of being a mom or a parent, adding that other parents at the school are supporting her. I think everybody's just floored because they're like, we know you, we know who you are. Like, I think that's funny. Let's go on about Miss Triece a little bit more. Now, she's a well-known personality, not only on OnlyFans, but also on Instagram with over 100,000 followers. Now, unfortunately, there's not much information about her personal life except for her 2 children are 5 and 10. She's also present on Twitter as @VictoriaSnooks and is being followed by more than 24,000 people on Twitter. She's an internet star. She's a sex worker. That's how she makes her living. Now, most of her comment on the internet is not safe for work. There's 850 posts on her OnlyFans account, and they've earned 177,000 likes. After Triece was banned, she took to Twitter to express her anger. She tweeted, "The way somebody took paid content from my OnlyFans page and sent it to my children's school is so cruel. You don't have to like or agree with what I'm doing, but doing something like that is extremely wrong." Meanwhile, several people on Twitter also responded to Triece's tweets. One wrote, "Wait, seriously? This is a mess. When did it become common for schools to judge parents on their personal choices that are entirely irrelevant to anything academic?" And I think that says it in a nutshell. So here's the deal. Victoria Triece is a sex worker. That's not illegal. She's not a prostitute. She takes pictures of herself, posts them on the internet, and on one of the 3 accounts, you got to pay for it. It's pay-per-view. The other 2, the Instagram and the Twitter, I suspect are more like previews of coming attractions. Okay, if you like this, you'll really like that. So pay me some money. 177,000 people are paying money. So she's making a living doing that. Now, it's not illegal. Is it immoral? It might be, but that's somebody's opinion. But it's certainly not illegal. So is being a dishonest salesman also immoral? How about a lying politician? How about an abortion doctor? Maybe, probably, definitely, depending on how you believe. But none of those professions would raise an eyebrow to the school board. None of them. Why would a sex worker? Triece dressed appropriately during school activities, according to all sources. Her professional life was kept separate from her personal life, according to all sources. She handled it correctly and is right to sue the school district. Oh, and by the way, she will win, in my opinion. Now, if you disagree with my take on this, and let's say you do, and you certainly could, but if you disagree with my take on this, consider this. In today's culture, in today's climate, what if Triece were